Struggling father accidentally messages a billionaire CEO begging for baby formula. The billionaire's response changes everything. Before we begin, drop a comment below with the city you're watching from. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this emotional story. It's 2:47 in the morning, and Marcus Bennett's hands won't stop shaking. His phone screen is cracked, but he can still see the message he just typed. His 4-month-old daughter Emma is screaming in the background, that piercing, desperate cry that only comes from real hunger. He closes his eyes, swallows his pride, and hits send. The message goes through, and then his blood runs cold. He stares at his phone, opens the contact, and his stomach drops. Sarah. But it's not Sarah from church. It's not his friend who's been helping him these past few weeks. The name is right, but the last name, Chen. Sarah Chen, the CEO of Chen Industries, a Fortune 500 company. He met her at a networking event 6 months ago, back when his life was completely different. Back when he actually had a future. He never deleted her number, and he just sent her the most humiliating message of his entire life. "Oh God," Marcus whispers, his face going pale. "What did I just send?" But to understand how a successful accountant ended up here, desperately texting a billionaire CEO at 3 in the morning, you need to know what happened 3 months ago. 3 months ago, Marcus Bennett had everything. A beautiful wife named Jennifer. A newborn daughter who looked just like her mother. A steady job at a respected accounting firm. They lived in a modest but comfortable apartment. They had plans. They were going to buy a house, maybe get a dog, give Emma a little brother or sister in a few years. Jennifer was the kind of woman who lit up every room she walked into. She had this laugh that made everyone around her smile. And when she held Emma for the first time, Marcus thought his heart might actually burst from happiness. He remembered thinking, "This is it. This is what life is supposed to be." 8 weeks later, Jennifer was gone. Postpartum complications. That's what the doctors called it. A blood clot that traveled to her lungs. She was laughing one moment, telling Marcus about how Emma had smiled at her that morning. And then she collapsed. By the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. Marcus stopped sleeping, stopped eating, stopped functioning. His boss was understanding at first. "Take all the time you need," he said. But grief doesn't work on a schedule. 2 weeks of missed deadlines and unfocused work later, Marcus was let go. They called it a mutual parting of ways. He was too numb to even argue. The medical bills came next. Then the funeral costs. His savings account, the one he and Jennifer had built together for their future, evaporated in a matter of weeks. Every dollar they'd carefully saved, gone. But Marcus is a proud man. Too proud. His parents are in their 70s, living on Social Security and his father's small pension. He couldn't ask them for help. His friend Sarah from church, a single mother herself who barely gets by, had been bringing him groceries and helping with Emma when she could. But this week, she's out of state visiting her sick mother. And tonight, Marcus ran out of formula. He's been rationing it for 2 days, watering it down just a little, trying to make it stretch until his unemployment check hits on Friday. 3 more days. Just 3 more days. But Emma is 4 months old. She doesn't understand waiting. She doesn't understand that Daddy has exactly $4.37 to his name. For the past 6 hours, Emma has been crying. Not fussing. Crying. That soul-crushing wail that tells you something is genuinely wrong. Marcus has walked her around the apartment 17 times. He's sung every lullaby he knows. He's tried giving her water. Nothing works. Because she's hungry, and he has nothing to give her. At 2:43 a.m., something inside Marcus broke. The pride, the shame, the stubborn independence, all of it shattered. He grabbed his phone and opened his contacts. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely type. He found Sarah and started writing. "Sarah, I'm so sorry to ask this. Emma hasn't eaten in 6 hours. I have $4 to my name. Could you possibly spare $20 for formula? I'll pay you back Friday. I'm so ashamed, but I don't know what else to do." She won't stop crying. He didn't read it over, didn't let himself think about it. He just sent it. Because when your child is starving, pride doesn't matter anymore. And now he's staring at his phone, at the name Sarah Chun. And he realizes what he's done. He didn't text his friend. He texted a billionaire. A woman who probably hasn't thought about him once since that networking event. A woman whose time is worth more per hour than Marcus makes in a month. A woman who's now reading the most desperate, pathetic message he's ever written. Marcus's first instinct is to delete it, but it's too late. The blue checkmarks appear. Read at 2:48 a.m. She's seen it. A CEO of a Fortune 500 company just read his begging message at 3 in the morning. Marcus wants to throw his phone across the room. He wants to disappear. In the background, Emma's cries are getting weaker, more pitiful. That's somehow worse than the screaming. He sits there on the edge of his worn couch, head in his hands, his daughter crying in the next room, wondering how his life fell apart so completely. And then his phone buzzes. Before we see what that message says, let me ask you something. Have you ever been so desperate that you had to swallow every ounce of pride you had? Have you ever sent a message you immediately regretted? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this story is hitting you in the chest the way it's hitting me, subscribe to Rich Tide's channel because what happens next will restore your faith in humanity. Marcus picks up his phone with trembling fingers. There's a new message from Sarah Chun, and when he reads it, he stops breathing. I'm so sorry you're going through this. What's your address? I'm sending help right now. Marcus stares at those words on his cracked screen like they're written in a foreign language. I'm so sorry you're going through this. What's your address? I'm sending help right now. His mind is racing. This doesn't make sense. Sarah Chun doesn't know him. They shook hands once, maybe exchanged 30 seconds of small talk about tax law at some forgettable networking event. She has no idea who he is. She has no reason to help him. This has to be a mistake. His fingers fumble across the screen as he types back, his mortification growing with every word. I think you have me confused with someone else. I'm Marcus from the Community Business Mixer last spring. I'm so sorry. This was meant for someone else. He hits send and immediately wants to throw up. Even his apology sounds pathetic. Behind him, Emma's crying is getting worse, more ragged, more desperate. It's the kind of crying that physically hurts to hear. The kind that makes you feel like you're failing at the most basic requirement of being a parent. Marcus sets his phone down and goes to her crib. He picks her up, and she's so light it terrifies him. For months old, and she feels like she weighs nothing. Her little face is red and scrunched up, tears streaming down her cheeks. He rocks her gently, uselessly, whispering apologies she can't understand. I know, sweetheart. I know you're hungry. Daddy's trying. I promise I'm trying. But she just keeps crying. Because promises don't fill an empty stomach. Marcus is pacing the small living room with Emma against his chest when there's a knock at his door. He freezes. It's 3:24 in the morning. Nobody knocks on doors at 3:24 in the morning unless something is very wrong or very right. His apartment building isn't in the best neighborhood. Late-night knocks usually mean trouble. He walks to the door carefully, keeping the chain lock on, and cracks it open just enough to see out. There's a man standing there in a delivery uniform, holding multiple boxes. He looks just as tired as Marcus feels. Marcus Bennett? The delivery driver asks, checking something on his phone. Yes. Marcus's voice is cautious, confused. I have an emergency delivery for you. The driver doesn't wait for a response. He starts handing boxes through the partially open door. 1 box, 2 boxes, 3 boxes. Marcus has to set Emma down in her bouncer just to take them all. Then comes a large package of diapers. Then baby food. Then wipes. The driver is pulling things out of a cart like some kind of 3 a.m. Santa Claus. There must be a mistake, Marcus says, staring at the pile now covering his small entryway. I didn't order any of this. The driver pulls out his phone and shows Marcus the screen. Nope, no mistake. Paid for by Sarah Chun. Rush delivery, priority handling. She also sent this. He hands Marcus a small envelope. Marcus takes it with hands that have started shaking again, but for a completely different reason now. He looks down at the boxes. Premium baby formula, the expensive kind. The kind he and Jennifer used to buy before everything fell apart. 3 full cases of it. Enough to last months. I don't understand, Marcus whispers. The driver just shrugs with a tired but genuine smile. Lady called the 24-hour pharmacy directly. Woke up the owner. Paid triple for emergency delivery. Said there was a baby who needed to eat. So here I am. He pauses, then adds quietly, "Feed your kid, man. Have a good night." And then he's gone, walking back down the hallway, leaving Marcus standing there surrounded by boxes he doesn't deserve, holding an envelope he's afraid to open. Emma is still crying in her bouncer. That sound finally breaks through Marcus's shock. He grabs one of the formula boxes, rips it open with shaking hands, and pulls out a can. Then he stops, remembers the envelope. Something tells him he should read it. He tears it open. Inside is cash. A lot of cash. Marcus's hands are trembling so badly now he almost drops it. $500 in crisp $20 bills. More money than he's seen in one place in months. But it's the note, handwritten on expensive stationery, that makes his vision blur with tears. "Marcus, there's no mistake. Feed your daughter. The money is for groceries and bills. My private number is below. Please call me tomorrow at 10 a.m. You're not alone anymore. Sarah." The words hit him like a physical force. You're not alone anymore. For words. For simple words. And Marcus Bennett, 32 years old, a man who has been holding himself together through sheer force of will for 3 months, completely falls apart. He slides down to the floor, his back against the wall, clutching that note and that cash like they're the only real things in the world. The sobs come from somewhere deep in his chest, 3 months of grief and fear and exhaustion and shame all pouring out at once. He's crying so hard he can barely breathe. But Emma is still hungry, and that cuts through everything else. Marcus wipes his face with the back of his hand. He stands up, legs shaky, and goes to the kitchen. His hands are still trembling as he opens the formula can, as he boils water, as he measures and mixes and tests the temperature. He's done this routine hundreds of times, but tonight every movement feels sacred. This isn't just formula. This is a stranger's impossible kindness. This is hope in a bottle. He picks Emma up from her bouncer and settles into the worn armchair. The moment the bottle touches her lips, she latches on desperately, her tiny hands gripping it like she's afraid it might disappear. And Marcus watches her, tears still streaming down his face, as his daughter finally eats. "We're going to be okay. Baby girl," he whispers, his voice breaking. "We're going to be okay." Emma's eyes start to flutter closed as she drinks, her little body relaxing for the first time in hours. The apartment is quiet now except for the soft sound of her feeding. Marcus looks down at her, this tiny person who looks so much like Jennifer it sometimes hurts to breathe, and he feels something he hasn't felt in 3 months. Hope. He glances over at the pile of supplies by the door, the cash on the table, the note with its careful handwriting and impossible promise. A woman he barely knows just changed his entire world with a single act of kindness. No questions asked. No judgment. Just help. Just humanity. As Emma finishes her bottle and finally drifts off to sleep in his arms, Marcus makes a silent promise. Someday, somehow, when he's back on his feet, he's going to pay this forward. He's going to be the person who shows up at 3 in the morning for someone else's crisis. He's going to be someone's Sarah Chin. But first, he has a phone call to make at 10 a.m. And he has absolutely no idea what he's going to say. Marcus doesn't sleep. He can't. Emma is finally resting peacefully in her crib, her belly full for the first time in days. But Marcus spends the entire night staring at that handwritten note, at the phone number written in neat, confident script at the bottom. "Call me tomorrow at 10 a.m. What do you say to someone who just saved your life? How do you thank a stranger for seeing you at your absolute lowest and not looking away?" At 9:47 a.m., Marcus is already holding his phone. His hands are shaking again, but this time it's not from exhaustion or hunger. It's nerves. Pure, overwhelming nerves. He's rehearsed what he's going to say at least 20 times. He's going to thank her. apologize for the confusion, promise to pay back every single cent. And then he's going to let her get back to her incredibly important life and try to figure out how to live with the fact that a billionaire CEO saw him at his most pathetic. At exactly 10 a.m., he dials the number. It rings once, twice. Marcus's heart is pounding so hard he can hear it in his ears. Marcus, it's her. Not an assistant, not a secretary. Sarah Chen herself, answering her personal line like she's been waiting for his call. Ms. Chen, Marcus's carefully rehearsed speech evaporates. I don't even know where to start. Thank you doesn't begin to cover it. Last night you saved my daughter's life. You saved me. I'm going to pay back every penny. I swear. I just need a little time to get back on my feet, but I promise. Marcus. Sarah's voice is gentle but firm, cutting through his rambling. Stop, please. I want to tell you something. Can I share a story with you? Marcus closes his mouth, nods even though she can't see him. Of course. There's a pause, and when Sarah speaks again, her voice is changed. It's softer, more vulnerable. The polished CEO is gone, and in her place is someone else entirely. 20 years ago, I was 19 years old and completely alone. I had a 3-month-old daughter named Lily, no high school diploma, and no idea how I was going to survive. Her father had left the moment I told him I was pregnant. My parents had kicked me out. I was working double shifts at a truck stop diner, living in a studio apartment that had roaches and heat that only worked half the time. Marcus sits down slowly on his couch, listening. I was making barely enough to cover rent and utilities. Sarah continues. Every single dollar was accounted for. I'd eat one meal a day so Lily could have what she needed. I hadn't bought myself new clothes in months. I was exhausted all the time, running on maybe 3 hours of sleep a night, juggling work and a baby and trying not to completely fall apart. Her voice catches slightly, and Marcus realizes this isn't just a story. This is a wound that never fully healed. One night, I was at the grocery store. It was late, maybe 10 p.m., right after my shift ended. I had exactly $43 until my next paycheck. I needed diapers. I needed formula, but I could only afford one. I stood in that aisle for 20 minutes trying to do the math, trying to figure out which one I could stretch longer, which one I could substitute with something cheaper. And I just broke. Marcus's throat tightens. He knows that moment, that exact moment of desperate calculation. I started crying right there in the middle of the store, Sarah says quietly. Not quiet crying. Ugly, shoulder-shaking sobs. I was so ashamed, so tired, so scared. And then this older woman, probably in her 60s, came up to me. She didn't say anything at first. She just took the diapers and formula out of my hands, put them in her cart, and walked me to the checkout. She paid for everything, and then she walked me out to my car, pulled out her wallet, and handed me $200 in cash. I tried to refuse. I tried to tell her I'd pay her back, but she just smiled at me and said something I've never forgotten. She said, "I'm not giving you a loan, sweetheart. I'm giving you a gift. And when you make it, when you're on the other side of this, you pay it forward." Marcus is holding his phone so tightly his knuckles are white. I never saw her again, Sarah continues. I don't even know her name, but I kept that money in my wallet for 6 months after I used it, just the receipt from the store, to remind myself that people like that exist. That kindness like that is real. And I promised myself that if I ever made it out of that truck stop diner, if I ever became someone who could help, I would be that woman for someone else. Marcus, do you know what I was doing at 2 a.m. when your message came through? Sarah asks. Working late, Marcus manages to say. I was in my office, going through quarterly reports, and my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. My first instinct was to ignore it. Wrong number, probably spam, definitely not my problem. But something made me open it. And when I read your words, Marcus, I saw myself. That desperation, that shame, that love for your child that makes you swallow every ounce of pride you have because their need is bigger than your ego. Sarah's voice grows stronger, more certain. I've been waiting 20 years to be the person who answers that call. 20 years of building a company, making money, gaining influence, and wondering when I'd get the chance to be someone's stranger in the grocery store. And then you sent that message to the wrong number. Except it wasn't the wrong number, Marcus. It was exactly the right one. Marcus can't speak. Tears are running down his face and he doesn't even try to stop them. So please don't apologize, Sarah says. And please don't talk about paying me back. You didn't ask for a loan. I gave you a gift. The same gift that woman gave me. There's a moment of silence, and then Sarah's tone shifts, becoming more businesslike but still warm. Now, I have a question for you. Are you still looking for work? Marcus blinks, confused by the sudden change in direction. Yes, I am. My company has an opening in our accounting department. It's a remote position with flexible hours specifically designed for single parents. The pay is competitive, better than most firms, full benefits, and we offer a childcare stipend for days when you need extra help. I've seen your resume, Marcus. You're overqualified if anything. The position is yours if you want it. Marcus's mind goes blank. What? There's one condition, Sarah adds, and Marcus can hear the smile in her voice. When you're back on your feet, when you're stable and thriving again, you have to promise me that you'll pay it forward somehow. I don't care how. Could be big, it could be small. But you have to promise that you'll be someone else's answered prayer someday. Marcus tries to respond, but his voice won't work. His throat is too tight. His heart is too full. This doesn't happen in real life. Strangers don't save you. Billionaires don't offer you jobs. People don't just decide to change your entire life because of a wrong number text message. But Sarah Chin just did. Marcus? Are you still there? Sarah asks gently. I'm here. He finally chokes out. Yes to everything. The job, the promise, all of it. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but yes. You loved your daughter enough to ask for help, Sarah says simply. That's what you did to deserve this. That's everything. 6 months later, Marcus Bennett's life looks completely different. He's thriving at Chun Industries. The remote accounting position turned out to be exactly what he needed. Flexible hours that let him be present for Emma. Challenging work that reminds him he's still capable, still skilled, still valuable. Colleagues who understand when he needs to step away for a diaper change or a feeding. It's not just a job. It's a lifeline disguised as employment. Emma is 10 months old now, healthy and happy and growing so fast it sometimes takes Marcus's breath away. She has Jennifer's eyes and her smile. She's starting to pull herself up on furniture, determined to walk even though her legs aren't quite ready. She laughs at everything. The sound of that laugh, pure and unburdened, reminds Marcus every single day why he kept fighting through the darkness. They've moved to a better apartment. Nothing fancy, but it has heat that works and windows that don't leak and a nursery that actually fits Emma's crib with room for her to play. Marcus can afford groceries now without counting every dollar. He can buy Emma the good formula, the developmental toys, the tiny shoes she doesn't really need but that make him smile anyway. The grief is still there, probably always will be. There are nights when he looks at Jennifer's photo and the weight of missing her feels like it might crush him. But he's learned something important. Grief doesn't mean you stop living. It means you learn to carry it differently. He found a support group for widowed parents. They meet every Thursday evening at a community center. 8 people who understand what it's like to raise a child while mourning the person who should be beside you. They don't try to fix each other. They just witness each other's pain and survival. It helps more than Marcus ever thought it would. And he's started something small at his church, a fund for struggling parents. It began with $50 from his first paycheck, money he set aside in an envelope labeled, "Pay it forward." Then he mentioned it to his pastor, who mentioned it to the congregation. Now there are 12 families contributing whatever they can, and they've helped 4 parents in crisis situations. Diapers, formula, a month's rent for a single dad who lost his job. It's not much, but it's something. It's a beginning. 3 weeks ago, Sarah Chun called him with an invitation. Her company hosts an annual charity gala, raising money for various causes. This year, she wants to launch a new initiative, and she wants Marcus to be the one to announce it. "You're going to speak in front of all those people?" his friend from church asks when he tells her. "Aren't you terrified?" "Absolutely," Marcus admits. "But I owe her this. I owe her everything." The gala is elegant in a way Marcus has never experienced. Crystal chandeliers and string quartets and people in suits that probably cost more than his car. He feels out of place in his borrowed tuxedo, clutching his note cards, watching hundreds of wealthy donors sip champagne and network. But then Sarah introduces him and he walks to the microphone, and he sees Emma in the audience with his parents who came in just for tonight. His daughter is wearing a little dress and has no idea why everyone is so dressed up, but she's smiling at him. And suddenly, the fear doesn't matter. Marcus clears his throat and begins. "6 months ago, I was at the lowest point of my life. My wife Jennifer had died suddenly, leaving me alone with our 4-month-old daughter Emma. I'd lost my job. My savings were gone. And one night, I ran out of baby formula with no money and no options. The room has gone completely quiet. I want you to understand something about that moment." Marcus continues, his voice steadier now. "The shame of asking for help when you're desperate is overwhelming. You feel like a failure, like you should have planned better, saved more, been stronger, like everyone is judging you for not being able to handle it alone." He pauses, looking out at all these successful people who probably can't imagine that kind of desperation. "That night, in my exhaustion, I sent a text message begging for $20 for baby formula, but I sent it to the wrong person. I meant to text my friend Sarah from church. Instead, I texted Sarah Chin." A ripple of surprise moves through the crowd. People glance at Sarah, who's sitting in the front row with tears already streaming down her face. "I've thought a lot about that mistake over the past 6 months," Marcus says, "about how a wrong number changed everything. Because Sarah didn't ignore my message. She didn't dismiss it as someone else's problem. At 3 in the morning, she sent emergency formula, diapers, supplies, and money. No questions asked. No judgment. Just help. Just humanity." His voice cracks slightly, but he pushes through. "Sarah didn't just give me formula or money or even a job, though she gave me all those things too. She gave me hope. She reminded me at my darkest moment that the world still has people who care, that strangers can choose to see you, really see you, and decide that your suffering matters to them." Marcus looks directly at Sarah now. "She told me about a woman who helped her 20 years ago when she was a struggling single mother. A stranger who paid for her groceries and gave her money and told her to pay it forward. Sarah's been waiting 2 decades to be that person for someone else. And I've spent 6 months trying to figure out how to be that person too." He takes a breath, sets down his note cards. "Tonight, I'm announcing a new initiative in partnership with Chun Industries. It's called Emma's Fund, named after my daughter and in memory of my wife Jennifer. It will provide emergency supplies and financial support to struggling parents in crisis. No applications, no lengthy verification processes, just immediate help for people who need it right now." The room erupts in applause, but Marcus isn't finished. "Here's what I've learned. Kindness isn't a transaction. It's not about deserving or earning or paying back. It's about seeing someone's humanity and choosing to honor it. It's about understanding that any of us, at any moment, could be one tragedy away from needing help. And when we're in a position to give that help, we should. Not because we'll get something in return, but because it's the right thing to do." He looks out at the crowd one more time. "If this story moves you, I want to ask you to do something. Think about someone in your life who might be struggling silently. Check on them. Really check on them. You might be someone's wrong number that turns out to be exactly right." The standing ovation lasts almost 2 minutes. After the event, as donors crowd around tables signing pledge cards for Emma's Fund, Sarah finds Marcus in a quiet corner. She's holding something in her hand. A photograph. "I want to show you something," she says softly. She hands him the photo. It's old, slightly faded. It shows a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a warm smile, standing in what looks like a grocery store. "Her name was Margaret O'Connor," Sarah says, her voice thick with emotion. It took me 3 years and a private investigator, but I finally found her. She passed away 5 years ago, but I met her daughter last month. Do you know what she told me? Marcus shakes his head, staring at the face of the woman who started all of this. She said her mother did this for dozens of people, maybe hundreds. She'd go to grocery stores late at night and look for people who seemed like they were struggling. Young mothers, elderly people counting change, anyone who looked like they needed help. She'd just pay for their groceries and slip them money and tell them to pay it forward. It wasn't a one-time thing. It was just who she was. Sarah's tears are falling freely now. She worked as a nurse for 40 years, never made much money, but somehow she found a way to help people constantly. Her daughter said she called it answering prayers you didn't know you were supposed to pray. Marcus feels his own eyes filling up. Then we're not paying back one debt, he says quietly. We're continuing a legacy. Exactly, Sarah whispers. Exactly. Later that night, Marcus is home. Emma is in his arms, finally asleep after all the excitement of the evening. The borrowed tuxedo is back in its garment bag. The gala feels like a dream. He walks over to the photo of Jennifer on the wall. She's laughing in the picture, that beautiful laugh that made everyone around her smile. He wishes so desperately that she could see Emma now, see what they've built from the ashes of that horrible night. Your mom would be so proud of us, baby girl, Marcus whispers to his sleeping daughter. So proud. His phone buzzes on the table. A text from an unknown number. Hi, my name is David. I got your number from Emma's fund. I'm a single dad with twin boys. Lost my job last week. I'm scared to ask this, but we're out of diapers and I don't know what else to do. Can you help? Marcus looks at the message, remembers being on the other side of this conversation, remembers the shame and the fear and the desperate hope that someone, anyone, would see him. He smiles, shifts Emma gently in one arm and types with his free hand. I'm here. Tell me what you need. He hits send and looks back at Jennifer's photo one more time. Sometimes wrong numbers are exactly right. And sometimes the worst night of your life is actually the beginning of something beautiful. Sometimes strangers become family. Sometimes asking for help is the bravest thing you can do. And sometimes, the only way to heal your own broken heart is to help mend someone else's. If the story touched you, if it reminded you that kindness still exists in this world, do me a favor. Subscribe to Rich Tide's channel because we're here to remind you that humanity is still worth believing in. And here's my question for you. Have you ever been helped by a stranger in a moment of crisis? Or have you been that stranger for someone else? Share your story in the comments. Let's remind each other that we're not alone. Marcus Bennett sent a text to the wrong number at 2:47 a.m. on the worst night of his life. And it saved him, not because of luck, not because of coincidence, but because Sarah Chun chose to see his humanity and honor it. Because 20 years ago, Margaret O'Connor chose to see Sarah's humanity and honor it. Because kindness is a legacy that keeps multiplying when we choose to pass it forward. Your wrong number might be waiting. Your Margaret O'Connor moment might be tomorrow. Your chance to change someone's entire world might come disguised as an inconvenience, an interruption, a message that wasn't meant for you. The question is, will you answer it? How would you rate this story from 0 to 10? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more heart-touching stories coming your way soon.